I am going to lead off today, so we get mine out of the way, because I can be a little bit of a windbag. But I'll get mine done, and then we can get on to everybody else's. And just like last week, I'm going to give a writing tip specifically. And that is that when you are in the middle of writing, and I find myself running into this a lot myself, you're in the middle of writing and you've maybe forgotten some element of what you're about to write, or you have maybe there's a piece of the puzzle that you don't quite have just yet. I use brackets in while I'm writing to basically communicate to myself later on when I come back to edit what it is I was trying to say or what needs to be filled in. So the most simple example of this is if I forget a character's eye color and I'm making a reference to that, or I want to make a reference to that. It's very practical. Or I'm forgetting some element of their appearance or some descriptor. I will put in brackets, John's brackets, eye color brackets, and I'll continue from there. So I don't have to stop and go back and search and be like, wait, what was his eye color again? I can't remember. But it also works for like plot details too. And in fact, I found myself doing this just the other day where there were some connections I could make back. I was writing in a later chapter and realized, oh, I could have set something up in an earlier chapter. And so I just right there put that in brackets, making a reference to something that had happened in a previous chapter. And then I'm going to go back and I'm going to fill that in. But the brackets make sure that I can easily search through my manuscript to find those little notes, and they don't get lost, because I've got to go and resolve all those things before it goes on to the next step. But anyway, that's my tip. So if you're in the middle of writing and you've forgotten something, or you have that moment of uncertainty, because I think that can really derail a writing session, use the brackets, put whatever it is in there that's going to help you move on, understanding you're going to come back and resolve it later, and then you can keep going. So there you go.
Okay, so we clearly don't talk about these before we start because that was
Oh,
pretty much my tip.
well, go
It's
ahead.
very, very close. Because we talked last week about fast draft and like get the words on the page
Yeah.
and then come back and do the editing is where you can add all the really finite detail. And mine is it's not brackets. I use capital letters. Like I put on cap locks and I
Yeah.
put my note to myself. And so this is literally I have like my little note chart of like what I'm gonna say. It's like Jack starts talking, I'm like, whoa, wait. Great
Yeah.
minds, I guess. Another one, and this is not I can't take credit for it, but I saw it on I don't remember where it was. It was on maybe a TikTok or something like that where they were giving writing advice. So I can't take credit for it, but it does work for me, which is to use if I have a character I haven't named yet, because I'll be drafting and I'll be like, oh, this guy probably needs a name now. And I'll just put TK and in capital letters TK, and TK is not typically in the English language together. So when I go and do a find TK, it will search those down. It's not going to find a bunch of random other words that I don't want. So I can just hunt down that the control find. And when you see TK as you're going back and editing, it's like, boom, there it is. So it'll be things like it's usually like city names, names of like something that I'm creating. It's not already named, or if I don't know where I'm gonna set something yet, I'll put that in there. And then a lot for characters, especially side characters I haven't named. So anyway, that's my tip. It's very similar to Jack's.
I'm gonna have to now search up a list of words in the English language
That has TK
that
in it.
have TK to get. And you're right, it is. It's a very odd list. I don't even know necessarily what these words are. So,
Yeah,
hey,
it's
there you go.
I mean there's no common. I guess there probably are words that have TK, but they're
Yeah.
not very common, and so you're probably not going to find that in your manuscript.
Now, I prefer to use the brackets over
Hmm.
capital letters, and here's why: is because I can then search for a bracket. I can do a
Yeah,
text search for a
that makes
bracket
sense.
and find those things. So, I don't know.
Mine is because when I'm editing, I'm gonna find those things
Yeah.
typically. So I see that big bold like, "Hey, yo, you didn't write this scene." Or, I'll put something stupid in there like, "Why are they doing this?" Like because I
Yeah.
want to come back and be like, it's a note to myself that I need to reflect on what my characters are doing and go like, "That was stupid. Don't make them do that." And so, yeah, that's mine.
No, that's a good one. Good one.
Oh, Emma's tip is more for me than y'all because I am still going through my reboot of my welcome sequences and 45 books with back matter links I have to change out. So, people, people by me. I'm going to start using, if not a bit.ly or redirect link. And this is stuff we all, how there are things we know, but we never actually do. Let's just do it like a backup. People get your stuff backed up. But bit.ly links or a landing page on your website or your BookFunnel bundle landing page. And that way, whenever you're updating your reader magnet or anything you need to update in your back matter, you don't have to go through one by one in every single book, which might also trigger the Amazon bot for reasons.
Mm-hmm.
And then because Amazon won't update all books, so you'll have 3,000 books out there in the wild with old back matter links, and you just got to grind your teeth. And
Yeah.
yeah, that's not fun.
No, yeah, it is really helpful if you can just edit the either editing the actual page, you're pointing to your website, pointing to a book funnel bundle, whatever it happens to be. I use personally Genius Link is what I use because it has some different functionality as well. And it works the same as Bitly. So you can put that link in there and then you can go. I did this, in fact, when I was setting up, oh, what was it? I mean, a lot of people ask this question like, okay, I don't have this book published yet, but I want to link to or I want to link to something that's not published yet. And so you can use one of those Bitly links or Genius links, and then you can come in and after the fact, once that is published, redirect that Bitly link or Genius link to that spot. So yeah, I second that tip. That's a good one. That's a
And I
good one.
say your website or your book funnel landing page because I think those are the most stable. Like I'm never getting rid of my book funnel account, and I'm probably
I
not
hope not.
I'm probably not gonna switch websites, but I might. So right now I'm erring on the side of using my book funnel landing page.
Sure. But even if you did switch, say, providers, right? So maybe you're hosting your website with WordPress and you're switching to a different website host, you just have to make sure that the domain
Yep.
URL that you use is the same. And
Gotcha.
once you switch, it's agnostic to the host of your website if you use the same URL.
Okay, so it doesn't matter if like you choose a different theme or because right now I'm on Elementor, so I could do a completely different setup, but
Yeah, yeah.
that I
Or
would ever for Wix, but if I did.
right. You could switch to a different host, and as long as the URL is the same, there might be a little bit of downtime there if you're transitioning over, but yeah, it'd be the same.
That came up in the author queue this week, 301 redirects. So maybe that's
Yes,
something like that.
yes. But Patsy, you got a tip for us? Some authorly advice?
Yeah, I have. There's loads of good advice out there. And people are tempted to think, I must do that, and I must do that, and I must do that. And you don't have, there's almost nothing you actually have to do.
Yeah.
And there's usually more than one way of doing something. So if you see some advice that you say, I just can't do that, I'm not learning TikTok or whatever. You don't have to. You can do something else. And also, if what you're doing is already working really well for you, the fact that most other people are doing something else doesn't mean you need to switch. Just
Right.
Here, say that one more time, please.
Yeah. Oh yeah, the grass is
if
not always
it's
greener.
working, don't fix it.
Right. Exactly.
Broke,
I,
don't fix it.
I think that's true, especially as someone who like I come up with the ideas for all of our webinars, and I like to talk about all the different types of things you could do. And I kind of like, that's just fun to me to sit there and think of all the different strategies that you could employ and all the things that you could do. But no, you're absolutely right. You don't have to do all those things. And I think it's really important to understand um, everybody's different. And like you said, there's different ways to get to the same place. There's different definitions of success for one, but then there's different ways to become successful, in your career. Not everybody gets there the same way. I think the thing I tack on to the end of that is, if you're doing something now and it's not working, don't be afraid to let it go as well and move on, and either simplify and just let that thing go, or try something different for a while. But yeah, you don't have to overdo it and do all the things at once. I think that's gonna be, I think that's up there with the advice of, always be writing your next book. I think that's up there with that. It rings true, and it's so basic and fundamental. Thank you for watching. Check out these other videos from BookFunnel, and don't forget to subscribe to the channel.